Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to show you my May TBR. Yes, I'm aware it is the 17th of May actually, and to set myself another challenge, 3 of these are from the library, so they have to be returned by the 26th. So I'll just start right off. The first book I'd like to read is Thomas Mann's The Deep Buddenbrooks. I've attempted to read other works of his, but either I wasn't in the right mindset of it, or the adaptation, the stage adaptation was so incredibly off-putting that I just stopped reading altogether. I tried to read Death of Venice in about 9/10, and I started reading the Dutch translation of The Magic Mountain, but the second half of the play, with a length of 4 hours, was just stripped to the sole philosophical aspect of the book, and that became very tedious, and we just wanted to go home, my sister and I was so put off by the ending of the play, not even because of the ending, but it kind of tacked on the ending. They were so in love with the exploring of the philosophical ideas or philosophical whatever the novel presented, with the character of Peperkorn, what is it? And yeah, I figured I don't want to read this now because I keep being reminded of the odious play stage adaptation, so I put it to the side and never picked it up again. But I'm hoping to finish this one, specifically, well, for a specific reason, but I'll return to that. So the next one are 2 books by a children's author, or I suppose late middle grade to early young adult author. Maybe they are classified as young adult. We have different kind of categories in the Netherlands. I mean, overarching, they're called, I think, middle grade to young adult, but we have more, they're more age specific and usually broken up into 2 to 3 years based on reading levels or reading capability, or etc., what have you. So it's a bit different, but I think some of these would be classed as, yeah, maybe early young adult. But anyway, the first one is Hasse Simonsdottir. I don't think there is an English translation of this, so I'll not bother with trying to tell you what it's about, mostly because I also don't know. I did know, but I forgot because it's been nearly 2 weeks since I borrowed it from the library. And the next one is Kinderen van Moeder Aarde, which is actually both by Thea Beckman. This is actually the first in a trilogy. It is an eco-feminist novel, from what I understand from my sister. My sister was raving about this. She loves this novel. We were actually supposed to read this when we were, 12 and 9 and 14, but when I had that age, a few, I think 11 years ago, 11 to whatever years ago, I was reading young adults in English, but also the copies we had of her books at school were always very weathered and worn, and they only had one of her works, and that one I'd seen a film adaptation of, and I didn't like that, so I never really regarded her as an author I'd read. But my sister read this recently and she was so excited about it, so I decided to read it as well. But yeah, this is quite exciting. So then, for the reason why I want to read the Buddenbrooks is actually also the reason why I wanted to read tales or stories by E.T.A. Hoffmann. I have a copy of it. I couldn't find it immediately on my shelves, and I didn't really fancy ransacking my shelves just for the sake of being able to hold up a physical copy of that, but hopefully it will show up in my wrap up of the month. Then I'm also rereading the short story The Dead by From Dubliners by James Joyce, and that's because I am reading, or have stalled in reading, Lazar by Nelio Biederman, and I'm hesitant. I'm enjoying it, but I wouldn't call it the greatest novel ever. I really do not agree with what Patti Smith is saying here, so far at least. Exquisite, masterly. Yeah. like the same with an astonishing book, A Truly Great Writer Steps Onto the Stage by Daniel Kilman. I don't think that's correct. It is. I think it's being lauded so much because the author was 22 years old when it came out, and he's a student, and he loves. He's studying German literature and film, and I can tell that he's still a student, and I think most of this is a brilliant attempt at mimicry, well, not failing, but succeeding mostly, but also quite obviously failing. And I agree with what most of the reviewers are saying, that it's a really fascinating debut, but there's just something missing, either in the way he tries to write a modernist text based on his own family history and a family saga at that, but it's just missing the key ideas and concepts of the 20th century. And he's also, at least at this point, still kind of hesitant to really introduce 21st century ideas. He tries, but it's so blatantly obvious that I wouldn't even call it a discussion. It's just almost tacked in there or written in there as an afterthought. And I think that's a bit of a letdown, because so far he hasn't really taken the time to discuss these ideas, to play with them, it's kind of a given. It's like, and I said so, so it's thus. And I think that's a bit of a letdown. Also, for someone who's been so inspired by stream of consciousness, or stream of conscious, I always say that wrong, but I'm just missing the creative aspect of the modernist text. It's written quite straightforward. There is a bit of messing about with narrators, but it's just missing something. I am enjoying it, but I don't think it's the best book I'll ever read. I'd say I hope that this is not a one-trick pony, and he will produce, his next book will actually be, a modern or a contemporary work of fiction, because I think he would be very interesting to read with his perspective on a modern contemporary world. I think he should step into the 21st century with his storytelling, and then he'd be very, very interesting to read. But he's just very much imitating other styles, and I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. But that's just so far. Maybe the second half of the book is really great. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. But mini review. And then for what else I want to read is, I keep trying to make these videos shorter and shorter. This is my third attempt. I keep talking. I should just stop. But then for something completely different, I wanted to read the first two plays, or the main plays that make up the story of Lulu by Frank Wedekind. And the reason for this is actually they are Earth Spirit and Pandora's Box. And the reason for this is actually that I really want to watch the opera. I have 2 copies of the opera by Alban Berg. This one, which is quite a bit. This one was, let's see, 2010, and this one was quite a while ago. But I think I'm going to watch this one actually. I don't know why I'm still holding this up. I think now I've decided I'm going to watch this one once I've read the plays. But I just really wanted to read the play so I can watch the opera. And then I also, talking of operas, I also want to watch The Pirates of Penzance by Gildan Sullivan, because it was mentioned in the introduction, yes, the introduction of The History of Opera, The Last 400 Years by Caroline Abate, probably mispronouncing that, and Roger Parker. This is the revised edition, if I'm not mistaken. And I really like opera. I don't know shit about it. I really like it, but again, don't know shit about it. And I was reading the introduction, and they kept mentioning certain operas that I've just never seen, and I figured, why not watch them as I read? So I've come to a store. I watched Il Trovatore by Giuseppe Verdi, which I loved, new favourite. But they mentioned that the Pirates of Penzance parodies a very important moment, a very funny moment in the second act, in the final scene, or the penultimate scene of the second act of Il Trovatore, and I figured, you know, if I'm watching that one, might as well watch this one. So I had to wait for it to arrive because I ordered it secondhand. And once I've watched this, I will be hopefully finishing the introduction of this book. So that's my May TBR.